we are going to use what we learned in a previous video to order these radicals from least to greatest. And we're going to do so without a calculator. So if you remember a few lessons ago, we learned to estimate the roots. So here we have a series of radicals that are square roots, cube roots, and fourth roots. You'll also notice at the bottom of the page I have written out the perfect squares and perfect cubes and so forth, because we'll need those in order to help us create a reasonable estimate for our radicals here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to estimate each one and convert it into a decimal, and then we're going to order them from least to greatest. So if we look at the first one, we have the cube root of 30. So if we look at our perfect cubes down here, we can see that 30 is in between our 27 and 64. Okay, but we can also see that it's much, much closer to 27 than it is to 64. So we know the cube root of 30 is going to be very close to 3. So I'm going to estimate this to be approximately, I'm going to say 3.1. Now we can look at the second one. We have the square root of 20. So square root of 20, we look at the first column of perfect squares, and we can see that 20 is in between 16 and 25. And it's very close to being in the middle. It's 4 away from 16 and 5 away from 25. So I'm going to say, it's probably pretty close to 4.5, but we're going to just say it's approximately 4.4 because it's a little bit closer to 4. Now we will look at the fourth root of 18. So we can see that 18 here in the third column is going to be in between 16 and 81. And it is extremely close to 16. It's only 2 away from 16, and then it's a lot away from 81. So with this one, I'm even going to just put, it's approximately 2.0. It's probably going to be 2.0 something else, but we're just rounding here to the nearest tenth. Fourth one we have is the cube root of negative 30. So we know our answer is negative. We can use the same column of numbers here for the perfect cubed. We're just going to have negatives. So the cube root of negative 30, so negative 30 is going to be in between negative 27 and negative 64, right? So if we had negative 3 cubed, that would equal negative 3 cubed would equal negative 27, and negative 4 cubed would equal negative 64. So we are a lot closer, again here, to negative 3 than we are to negative 4. So we're going to go negative 3 point, again, we're pretty close here, but let's go negative 3.1. And that's, exactly kind of the same reasoning that we used with the first one. We had the cube root of 30, and now we have the cube root of negative 30, so it makes sense that our answers are similar, just a different sign. Fifth one we have is the square root of 30. So the square root of 30 is in between 25 and 36. So it's 5 away from 25 and 6 away from 36. So again, we are slightly closer to 5 than we are 6. So again, we're probably 5.4, 5.5-ish. So probably in between, but since we're rounding to the nearest tenth here, we're just going to put 5.4. And finally, the fourth root of 10. So fourth root of 10, so 10 is in between 1 and 16. So it is 9 away from 1 and 6 away from 10. So we are closer to 2 than we are to 1. So we are 6 and 9. So let's go like 1.7. And so now we have our estimates for all of our radicals, and now it makes our job pretty simple. So which one is the smallest one? Well, it has to be the one that's negative. So that's the smallest, and that's the only negative number that we have. Then our next smallest would be the 4th root of 10. And then the number that's slightly bigger than that is the 4th root of 18. The next largest is the cube root of 30. Next, the square root of 20. And finally, the square root of 30 is the largest number here.